11-0 earlier this season, but then 1-5 over their last 6 games, including last night's loss. Fox Sports NFL analyst and former Steeler Michael Vick is still with us. So, Michael, what was the biggest reason for the Steelers' collapse?
Man, I think yesterday it just started out bad. It didn't start out good. The snap that went over Ben's head and resulted in a touchdown. I just felt like it was going to be hard to come back from that against the Cleveland Browns team who was hungry and searching for their first playoff win in a long time. I think that played a big part of their demise yesterday, and it didn't start well. Like I said, but you know, this team has been trending in the wrong direction for a long time, and I bleed black and gold. You know, I love the Pittsburgh Steelers organization from the time I stepped in there and from the time that I left. But it just seemed like yesterday, even though they came back and they fought, it was somewhat of a changing of the guard type of sense. And, you know, this team has been decimated by injuries all season. You know, you got guys like Bud Dupree and Devin Bush out. And these are the type of players that need to be on the field when things are not going well, when there's a lot of turmoil on the field. Those are the type of players that can bail you out, you know, along with the rest of the guys that's been assembled on that team. So they just didn't have that down the stretch, you know, throughout the season. They didn't have it yesterday. They did enough to come back. But, you know, it just wasn't about Big Ben and the offense. The defense had to step up, too. So, you know, I think in football, you know, the defense has to play better than the offense, you know, on any Sunday. You know, sometimes it can vary. It can go either way, but that just wasn't the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, I think the defense, because of injuries, failed this team this year.
Mike, you mentioned this team had been trending in the wrong direction for a long period of time. Skip, I was telling and, you know, getting into it with people on social media and talking, and even debating some of my friends. I said, guys, you got to stop looking at 8-0, 9-0. There's an undercurrent here.
11-0.
11-0. Skip, I remember having this conversation with some fans in Kansas City. I say they commit the dumbest penalty at the most inopportune time. Hey, but we won the game. And what happened? D Ford lines up off sides and cost them an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. I said, see, this is what happens. I say, when you can't run the football, when you need to run it, it's going to bite you. 3rd and 1. They can't get a first down. 3rd and 1, Ben has got to throw. Guys get their hands up, getting interceptions. Ben's inability to push the ball down the field. Skip, they sitting on everything. The reason why none of these balls are falling incomplete, because everybody's close to the line of scrimmage. Ain't no way that many Carrots supposed to get intercepted, Mike. You've seen Carrots and they hit the ground because the field is spread. Well, when everybody's tight to the line because they're not worried about you throwing the ball overhead, anything that's not called cleanly is going to get picked. And you better, I don't know what the Steelers are going to do. Now, they need a running back, and they need to get them linemen out of them up stance and put their hand in the dirt and come off the rock, because their inability to run the football is hurting them. And Ben not pushing the ball down the field is hurting them. And it finally bit them in the butt. And teams, you know, the first 5 games, Skip, they ran for over 100 yards. Only one 100-yard rush game in the final 12, including last night.
And who was that against? No, it wasn't even. I was thinking against Dallas.
Yeah.
But it wasn't,
no, wasn't even close against that.
Held them under 100. That's how bad they were.
That's how bad they were. You got to have some resemblance of a run game. Ben threw the ball. What he threw the ball? 68 times? 68? And then, well, he only threw for 500, but he threw 4 picks. They got 24 points off turnovers. So take away those 24 points they got off turnovers, Skip, and now we're looking at a different ball game.
Yep, I agree. So before I launch on this, as much as I love Mike Tomlin, I know Mike loves Mike Tomlin, Michael Vick does, I still have to make the point. First play of the 4th quarter, they had it 4th and 1 at their, 46-yard line?
That was key.
Just let Ben go. He had heated up.
Go for it.
Remember, the Browns are down 3 of their starters in their defensive backfield. You just go, because he was hot. And I'm pretty sure he would have converted. And if he goes down and scores, all of a sudden, early in the 4th quarter, let's say 10 minutes are left, it'd be 35-30. And all of a sudden, little brother's not thinking like I'm big brother anymore.
You need to put the pressure back on Cleveland.
Okay, because then I don't know what would happen from there. But Ben, I tweeted in the 1st quarter, don't be surprised if he throws for 500. He threw for 501 because he's backyard Ben. You're just letting him just play in the backyard. I'm just going to throw it here. I'm going to throw it there. And he's got about half an arm left, it looks like to me, and I don't know why. It just never came back right. from elbow and shoulder surgery.
Actually, his arm doesn't look as strong as Phillip Rivers.
Well, it doesn't. No, seriously. So to me, it looked like, to Michael Vick's point, the beginning of the game, the Steelers came out like, okay, we're still the Steelers. They got COVID issues. They don't have their head coach. They don't have Bill Callahan, their offensive line coach. They're down this player and that player and this player and that player. We got this. And what did Juju Smith-Schuster say last week? The Browns is still the Browns. And Baker let them know about that after the game because that was their mentality. It's like, we will flip the switch. And they flipped it when the game started and their electricity got turned off. Because when you streak into the postseason, losing, you went 1-5 in your last 6 games, what did Coach Landry teach me when I was a pup in this business? You have to streak into the playoffs. The teams that win it all take off in December. You can't back in. They backed in, right?
Skip, they've been trending down for like 2 months.
For like 2 months.
I wish Mike T would have went for it on that 4th down.
Yep.
I thought that was a critical moment in the game, and he tried to play situational football, and that backfired because the Cleveland Browns was hot. And to your point, Shannon, what you said about Ben moving forward, being 37 years old or 38, you look at the older guys in the league, the older quarterbacks in the National Football League, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, those guys got running games. Aaron Rodgers got a run game behind him. You have to have a run game. If you're going to play this game till you're 40 years old, you got to be protected. You got to have the pressure taken off of you by a running back that has stability and is good enough to carry the load. So all of those guys, 40 and up, got run games. Aaron Rodgers got a run game, and he's playing some of his best football. So I still think Ben got a lot left in the tank. They just got to put a run game behind him. It's going to be paramount.
Man, Ben moving worse in the pocket than Brady. And Brady, 43. Usually, Ben, it's like Ben got a piano, a refrigerator, and a stove tied around it.
Okay, but he threw for 501 yards. Maybe their Dak Prescott Memorial empty calorie yards.
The man had 70 attempts. When have you ever seen that many attempts in a playoff game?
Ben can turn